So we had a tsunami warning when we woke up today. It has been canceled after a 7.9 earthquake about 6 miles deep in the ocean off the coast of Kodiak, Alaska. Hit around 1 o'clock this morning.
Did it do anything to the people in Alaska?
No, apparently they got urgent warnings to get to higher ground, and then then it was canceled and said, that everything's going to be fine. No damage has been reported at this time, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I'm sure there's some minor damage, but that doesn't sound like anything was too major. If we had if there was a warning that we had to get to higher ground, I mean, where do you go? I mean, we got a lot of hills around here. What, does everybody just head up to Madonna? I'll just walk up there and
I think we're
just
fine.
hang out together.
I mean, I don't think it's an issue unless you're like...
If you're in San Luis, what do? You get in your car and drive up the grade? Boy, that could be a gridlock.
Okay.
I'm just saying, if it ever had...
We're not in low-lying flatlands, okay?
To where you had to get to higher ground here, what would you do? Like, where would you go?
I would walk up that hill right there. That's what I would do.
Quite a ways, Jeff.
It is not.
Walking to that is probably going to take you a half hour. I don't know if you have a half hour.
If I had 15-minute warning, I could walk to some elevation that would keep me away from some water. But where I'm at right now.
Okay, you say that, but you have kids, you have a family,
and
you got to go get them.
Well, they would walk as well. Listen, we're 12 miles inland. Okay, 12 miles.
It would have to be a pretty big tsunami.
We're fine. We're okay. Yes, it would have to, but like that earthquake would have had to hit right off the coast of Morro Bay, and we had no warning.
You think I'm okay where I'm at on that hill in Arroyo Grande? I mean, we're up off the ground a little bit.
Hell yeah, you're fine.
My bedroom's on the bottom level, though.
Fine. Don't
at the reverse floor plan.
Don't buy into the fear-mongering of the news.
Nobody's fear-mongering anything. They're just sending out warnings. And in Alaska, they said you need to get to higher ground. Here, they did not. They just said, hey, listen, a tsunami warning for, Port St. Louis.
In Alaska,
which is obviously...
that should have told us immediately that, okay, in Alaska... nothing happened, so chances are nothing will probably happen here when it hits at 6:20, like they say it's supposed to.
And nothing happened, but
it's good to have warning. I guess it's good to heed caution because of, like I brought it up earlier, the Paquette thing. That was devastating.
Well,
but I mean that's different.
You got to listen when they come and give you warnings. There's a reason they're giving you
low-lying flatlands. Well, in Paquette they didn't have a warning. It just came up. It just was like. Phew. That's why now we have warnings in place for the tsunamis, for everything.
I feel like we're getting a lot of earthquakes, a lot of tsunami warnings.
Oh, my God. Every time there's an earthquake.
These fires.
There's the same narrative that spouts from your mouth.
Mudslides. Mother Nature is just,
okay.
I swear, it's really picking up steam. I don't know. We have had a lot of natural events that have caused a lot of issues in the past just couple of years.
Life.
It's got to make you, pay attention a little bit.
It doesn't. I mean, these things have been going on since the beginning of time.
You sound like the guy that was going to stay on Mount St. Helens when it was rumbling. Remember his name? I forget his name. He died, by the way. I forget. He was the only one that stayed.
Now there's more cameras in place, so now it seems like there's more going on. But these things have all been happening since the beginning of time.
Yes,
okay?
Of course they have. I know that. They've been happening more frequently.
No, they haven't. There's just more cameras to capture the footage.
Do you have proof that they haven't?
Yeah.
I think they have.
You think they have because there's more documented evidence of it.
More natural disasters have been happening in the past decade than in the past 100 years. It's picked up steam.
And people have picked up their cameras and they caught it, and therefore they relay it to you, and you consume it, and you're like, "Oh man, the
I'm
world's coming to an end."
I'm always concerned about the earthquake thing here because the fault line is San Andreas Fault isn't very far.
When you play
Parkfield,
when you play the spoons, do you put on a tinfoil hat sometimes?
No, why would I do that?
Because the sky is falling.
No, I don't think the sky is falling.
If the sky is falling,
I'm just saying.
Well, I saw somebody with footage of sky falling on Facebook, and there's more natural disasters.
You were in a pretty good earthquake in Seattle, weren't you? And building fell in front of you?
Yeah. A facing of a building fell in front of
a building
apartment complex. And the guy that had just walked out of the building turned around and looked at it. I'll never forget this. He turned around and he looked at the facing that had just fallen out of the building that he just walked out of. And he was like, whoa, shrugged his shoulders and kept walking. I thought that was kind of funny. It was a very telling.
Like, hey, I almost died, but I didn't, so
I got to get to work.
I probably wouldn't have done that. I would have gotten in the middle of the street and not walked by any more buildings if the building just fell behind me. I think that I would be like, dude, I'm going to get away from buildings at this point.
Yeah, he just walked down the street. He was like, "Oh, that's cool." I remember I thought it was I was walking by. I lived up on Capitol Hill. As a very it was gay.
Like San Francisco, Seattle's built on hills.
Yeah, and it's a very gay friendly neighborhood.
What does that have to do with it?
Well, because I was walking by a gay nightclub on my way down to it, and it was like, on my way down to work, and it was like 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'm walking by, and the windows start rattling at the gay nightclub, and I go, wow. I turn around and I go to look in the windows to see if they're like testing out some kind of sound system or something. I'm like, what's going on here? And then I look
Somebody's
up.
pumping some bass in there, Jeff.
That's what
if you want to look.
That's what it looked like. And then I look up, and the street lights are going back and forth. And then
Wow, that's some serious bass pumping.
this person that was walking in front of me just falls down. And I started laughing at the person who had fallen down. Then I realized what was happening. Oh, we're having an earthquake. And you could feel like the ground, it was like moving back and forth, like you were on a treadmill kind of situation.
See, you're weathered. That's your problem.
And then I looked down the street, and there's
you have no fear.
The facing of the apartment complex fell down in front of the guy,
like
right as the guy was walking out of the
movie
apartment.
scene, like from a movie at the end of the world.
I know. And
street lights, windows,
but here's
buildings
the thing.
falling.
It was
people.
one of those things that happened so quickly. It happened so quickly. All of it happened so quickly that was hard to process. And then when it was all said and done, you're like, oh, wow, we just had an earthquake. It was just what it was. And while they're scary, yes.
Well, apparently not for you. You were laughing.
There's nothing you're going to do about it. Like, what is the point of worrying about these things?
Yeah.
Because,
it's good to have a plan. What's our plan here? What's our company plan if we have an earthquake? What are we supposed to do?
we stay behind the microphones and alert people to what to do.
Can we get under this counter right here? Is this? That doesn't feel very strong. It looks like it's granite, but it's that Formica stuff. They went cheap on us.
Very important birthday today, Jeremy.
What is today? The 23rd?
The 23rd.
My birthday's
January.
November 23rd, Jeff, not January 23rd.
I didn't say your birthday.
Well, you said an important birthday. I thought you thought it was my birthday.
Yeah. On this day, 35 years ago, it's the 35th birthday of the debut of
The A-Team?
Very good. The A-Team.
Great show. Miss it dearly.
Great show.
I hate when they redo it, though. I hate it when they
Hold
try
on.
to rebring these shows back. Let them be.
You say it's a great show and you say let it be. Does that mean that you still watch it? Because the question we're asking on social media this morning is, do you watch any shows from the 80s? 543-3693. That's the Firestone 805 beer text line.
Yes, I watch one show still from the 80s.
Really?
Seinfeld.
That's not from...
That started in the late 80s.
I don't consider Seinfeld...
I think it started in 88 or
80s
89.
show.
Maybe probably 89 is when Seinfeld
Okay, but
started.
does that count? I mean, that's coming in...
the 80s. I mean, listen, probably not. That's the only...
That's like calling Soundgarden an 80s band, even though like they hit the scene in like 88, 89.
So if I watch Wheel of Fortune or Jeopardy, they were on in the 80s.
No, it
Does that
doesn't
count?
That doesn't
Okay.
count.
So
That doesn't
what are we
count.
talking about? Sitcoms, TV shows, dramas?
Sitcoms, TV
not
shows.
Game shows.
Anything except for game shows, because game shows, that's the script stays the same. It's just you're watching different people do it.
I don't think I do. I don't think I...
There's not a single...
You can't go back to it's hard to go back to those shows and they're as good as you remember them being because the acting wasn't as good, special effects, everything was just not as good. Now, I haven't watched the A-Team since I was a kid, but it was my favorite show.
Yeah, you're right. 89 to 98 was when Seinfeld...
Oh, yeah. No, I know
ran.
that. I'm a Seinfeld trivia buff.
That is...
My wife and I played Seinfeld.
That is the
trivia all
gayest thing
time.
I've ever heard you say.
Well, my wife and I are very bored sometimes, so we just play Seinfeld trivia.
We're asking you this morning, is there any shows from the 80s that you still watch today? And I thought for sure when posting this question, I would have a short list of answers. There is not a single show I watched from the 80s. In fact, when I look back on shows in the 80s, I laugh. I'm like, I can't believe I watched that show. I can't believe I watched that dumb show.
I'm trying to think of this name.
This is a long version.
This is a great version.
Somebody texting in from the 808. The 808. 808 is Honolulu, my friend. And of course, what is their answer? Magnum PI.
What? Okay, If I was going to go back, I would probably watch. Think about this, okay? Since we're probably not watching, but if you were to go back and watch a show that you watched in the 70s, 80s, which show would it be and why? Mine would be The Rockford Files. I think that show would still be prevalent and really good today as it was with James Rockford back in the day. Do you remember The Rockford Files?
Yeah, I like the Rockford Files.
Like, I think that would be a show that I would watch.
Files might be a 70s show, though.
Yeah, I think it probably was 70s that went into the 80s.
Because I remember watching that really young with my...
with your dad?
With my grandfather.
Oh, with your grandfather. Yeah, my dad is the one that watched The Rockford Files at my house, and I was a big fan. Loved The Rockford Files.
Rockford Files was... Oh, yeah, it was a 70s show through and through. It ended on January 10th, 1980.
Oh,
so that's not even an 80s show. Gosh. But we watched it in syndication growing up in our youth. So
great.
It's like the question this morning.
There were so many other great shows that spun off of that show. There was two brothers or cousins, and there was they were private detectives, just like James Rockford. Do you remember one was kind of a better looking one?
Hardcastle and McCormick.
No, not Hardcastle and McCormick. That was the judge and the guy that drove. That was the knockoff Magnum PI because he drove the some weird looking German sports.
What
car.
about Heart to Heart? Wasn't that a husband wife?
That was a husband and wife. They were private. I mean, remember the private detective shows were that was the bee's knees.
Yeah.
And what's the one with that I'm forgetting with the red car? It was the two guys. They were cops though, so that wasn't private detectives.
Miami Vice?
No.
Miami Vice is probably the best 80s show. It's my favorite. Like, I would stay up late on Friday nights to watch Miami Vice when I was a kid. I was like, that Miami is where it's at, man. That's drugs. You know, you got it all. I mean, that was my my R-rated movie or TV watching. You weren't supposed to watch that if you were a kid. There's too much sex, drugs, and violence on that, but you watched it.
Oh, let's see.
Because it was on TV, and that was the cool thing about TV. If it was on regular TV, my parents would be like, it's on regular TV.
Oh, I got to roll this.
You could go ahead and watch it. It's on regular TV. Like, I could not imagine letting my daughter watch Law and Order SVU because it's on regular TV.
Hunter. Remember Hunter?
No.
You don't remember Hunter?
No.
Let's see if there's the if it works here. Yeah, this is a great show. He was he was a police officer, and then a street cop, and he became a detective. I think what you see him, Fred Dreyer was Hunter.
Oh, I do remember Hunter.
Yeah, Hunter was great.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Jake.
Hunter was good.
Jake and the Fat Man was kind of the
Hunter
end of these
good.
shows.
What about James Bond show? What was that one? Remington Steele with Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah, that was good.
That was a good one.
Matt Houston was good. I never watched Moonlighting.
I liked Moonlighting.
I'm trying to find those stupid clowns that were the cousins, or maybe they were brothers.
You ever watched Moonlighting? Moonlighting was good.
No, I know I should have. That's probably a show I could go back and like Netflix and maybe really get into.
Okay, so we're asking if you
Stingray,
we're
all
asking
these.
you if and the thing is, it's hard to watch these shows now because they're not on in syndication because there's so much great new TV on now, like with Netflix. I mean, there's a story that came out this morning. Netflix subscribers, they eclipsed their goal of subscribers this past year by 2 million because of all the original programming. So there's so much TV out there to consume now. Who's watching reruns from the 80s? That's the question we're asking you this morning.
I'm still trying to figure out this show with the two brothers that was kind of like the Rockford Files. 543-3693. I know some people have texted in.
It's not Hardcastle McCormick?
It's not Hardcastle McCormick because that was the judge. And then the young guy that drove the red sports car.
Was it a judge and a lawyer? And they would work together?
No, it wasn't. They weren't a judge and a lawyer. He was a private detective.
All I remember from that show is one of them didn't one of them live on a boat?
Probably McCormick did.
Okay.
Hardcastle was the judge.
Okay.
And McCormick was the other guy.
After that show, when I was a kid, after watching the first episode of that show, I was like, and he was the one that drove the sports
Are you
car.
talking about the Hardcastle McCormick, right?
Yeah. I really wanted to live on a boat. I thought that was a way that you could make you could do it. And even when I held on to that dream, even when I moved here to the Central Coast, there's a couple bays here, and I was like thinking, man, maybe I could live out my McCormick childhood dream. And maybe Morro Bay, maybe Avila Bay, or San Louis Bay. You can. You can
have a boat to get back and
forth. There are people that do it, yeah. You got to have a boat.
I want to live in a slip. I want to be able to get off the boat and walk in.
Walk to your car.
Yeah.
And you can't really do that.
I wish they had a marina now.
You can't really do it in Morro Bay either unless you've got, I mean, there's not many slips in Morro Bay. There are a few. I mean, if you can swing it, but there's usually
you deal with the smells.
Commercial fishery craft. And
It's more of like a Santa Barbara thing.
There's no true
Santa Barbara marina or down south somewhere.
Ventura. They have a marina in
really
Ventura. You could swing it in those places.
And see, up in the Northwest, because of that inlet, there was a lot of marinas, and it just
Puget
wasn't
Sound.
that warm.
Puget Sound is nothing but marinas. I mean, marinas on lakes, marinas on little inlets. I mean, it's just because the water's really calm. You need calm water.
Maybe Nacimiento or Lopez, they have little marinas. You could live on a boat there.
The problem is the boat would be more expensive than a house at either of those places.
Hi, go ahead.
Good morning. I think the show you're looking for is Simon and Simon.
Simon and Simon. Yes, that's what it was
Simon.
right there. Great theme song.
What did they do on Simon and Simon?
Simon and Simon, they were brothers, and one of them drove a big power wagon Dodge pickup truck, and the other one drove a little sports car.
Oh, my God. What a great show Simon and Simon was. Remember this? You remember this song, right? This was the best.
Yeah.
This is a good one.
Yeah, that was.
All right, you guys have a good day.
Yeah. Get out of here. See you later. Oh, you know who this was? That's right.
Everybody's chiming in on the 805 Beer text line saying that Starsky and Hutch is what you were looking for.
No, Simon
Starsky
and Simon
Hutch was a 70s show as well.
Here he comes right here. Gerald McRaney.
It's Gerald McRaney.
Gerald, not Gerald. But he was in so many other TV shows.
Reading's fun.
Still to this day, you see him in TV shows. Like, he went on to be a great actor. TV, movies.
Yeah. Gerald McRaney's still rocking.
He married Delta Burke, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Was that Major Dad?
Yes. Wow, you know your 80s TV.
See, this is when they used to make themes to TV shows that you could just drive around listening to. If they had the technology that they do today, back then, people would have this on their phones.
Was Quantum Leap an 80s show?
That was a terrible show.
That was a great show. I loved Quantum Leap.
Yeah.
Quantum Leap.
What was that clown's name? He would leap back and forth.
Yeah, I love that show.
Doesn't matter what his name is.
What about like ones that we could still watch? I could see myself. I don't, but I could still see myself because I watched it forever in syndication, and even though I'd seen all the episodes, I would still watch it. It was Cheers. Cheers is a great show.
Oh, yeah.
Cheers was a phenomenal show.
I think you could probably watch that today.
I think you could
really
still watch Cheers. But the rest of all these shows that you bring up, all these Simon and Simons and the Hunters, the Hardcastle McCormicks, you go back and you try to watch those today. You go back. I issue you a challenge. Go back and try to watch those today, and you will drift towards Narcos or Ozark, and you will go back to your Netflix because those shows had terrible special effects.
Night and day.
Terrible acting.
To Narcos and Ozark. Those are like movies, all right?
I
Those
know.
are like short movies that you get to watch an episode. I mean,
those had like the 80s television shows that you speak of so fondly. You go back and watch those. The cheese factor was at 12, okay? It was just cheesy.
Rockford Files and Simon, I think those would still be solid. I don't think they're that cheesy.
Still super cheesy.
I love that stuff, man. It's so good. People are writing in MacGyver. Pee-wee's Playhouse was that the 80s? That might have been the 80s.
That was the 80s.
Never watched that show. I think there was something wrong with you if you watched Pee-wee's Playhouse and you were, I don't know, that was something weird because he became a weird creep, and I think everybody that watched it was a little bit weird inside.
We just had somebody text in on the 805 Beer text line, Alf. There's no way in the world that you are watching Alf in 2018. And like, how are you getting it? What is it, on Netflix? Is it like where are you getting your Alf distributed to you?
See, I was a kid, and I don't think I got a lot of the jokes on Alf because Alf was great. Alf was one of my favorites growing up. Loved Alf.
Wait, you didn't get it, but it was one of your favorites? That seems par for the course for you for some reason.
I just always watched Alf because my dad always watched Alf.
Because there's a puppet on there?
I love the show, but I think I missed a lot of the jokes. I think there was a lot of adult jokes in the show is what I'm saying that I didn't get. Well, look at all these people texting in right now. By the way, this is the theme to Alf, if you didn't figure that out. One of my favorites. Goes into
we still use that on our show.
Hill Street Blues. That was a great theme song.
Okay, well, are you watching? And this speaks volumes to your attention span. The one thing that stands out on all these shows,
the theme song.
is the theme song.
I love the theme. I love music. I love music, Jeff.
You get into the first 45 seconds of it, and you're like, yeah, but I don't remember what the show is about. Like, tell me what Hill Street Blues is about.
Oh, it was a couple of cops.
Couple of cops?
Well, it was a police department. Your favorite shows from the 80s. A-Team turns 35 today on the 23rd day of January. Know-it-all Craig.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you got.
God.
Cheers, dude.
Yeah,
so
cheers.
Look,
You still watch
I
it?
literally just watched every episode of Cheers on Netflix.
Okay.
And one thing that I was totally impressed by, from the very first episode, it was funny.
I know.
To the very last episode.
That's the thing with Cheers. You can. I mean, there are shows that you watch them on a regular basis, but they become just they're just background, and you're like dedicated to it. Like The Office. The Office was funny in the beginning, and then obviously when Stephen Carell left, it
was okay for a couple seasons after that.
But you felt like you had to stay with it. You had to stick it out.
Right. It definitely ran over its course.
Cheers was on the right amount of time.
Well, now I'm making my way through Frasier, which is just as funny.
Oh, Frasier is brilliant. That is a great show. Seinfeld. Everybody Loves Raymond. King of Queens, I thought was good. I don't know if everybody's watched that, but King of Queens was pretty good too. It might have.
And for the record, I did love Greatest American Hero. That guy, he had the space outfit that made him a superhero, but he didn't know how it worked.
So it could never land.
Yes, yes, incredible plot. But this is a time. See, kids don't understand nowadays. We had 3 networks and 2 other channels.
Yeah.
So everybody watched the same stuff every week.
Yeah.
Nowadays, what'd you watch? Well, out of my 500 channels, I watched this.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's like everybody's watching their own thing, and then you're like, for a show to stand out now, it has to really, really, really be good.
Yeah, there's no more water cooler talk on Friday about Cheers on Thursday.
Yeah, I know.
There's, it's gone. That's gone.
That's
now
too bad.
You go, hey, did you guys see this show? And half the people you're talking to go, what is that? I never heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
I know what's going on. I'm sorry. I'm messing around here because I'm trying to get the Greatest American Hero theme because it is one of the greatest ever to come out of the. There it is. Do you know who sang this song? Know It All Craig?
Is it Christopher Cross?
No.
This
a
one I
great
don't
guess.
know. No.
Joey Scarberry.
Okay.
What's happened to me?
What else did Joey
I
do?
can't believe it myself. This was actually on the radio. This was a radio hit back in the 80s when this show was out.
Along with other bad songs.
Like Bertie Higgins?
Like Key Largo and...
Bertie Higgins! Yeah, Christopher Cross. This could be Yacht Rock. Actually, I think this is Yacht Rock.
Run Like the Wind.
Joey Scarberry. All right, thanks, Greg.
All right, guys.
Adios, muchacho. Hello, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, my name is Mike of Santa Maria. You're talking about shows from the 80s. My favorite show of all time, it has to be All in the Family. It started in the 70s, but it didn't go off the air until 1983. The spin-off was Archie Bunker's Place.
Yes, I remember that. My grandparents, my great-grandma, thank you for the call, used to watch that show all the time. I never really got into it, though. I think that was just a little bit before my time.
I think that's a 70s show. I think of that as a 70s
That's a
show.
total 70s show, yeah, for sure.
Which one I used to watch all the time. I can't watch it now because it's not on anywhere unless you own the DVDs, and I can't bring myself to watch it, is The Cosby Show. That one stood the test of time until we found out that Bill Cosby was a creep.
Was a sick
A
mofo.
predator. Did you hear the predator basically gave the middle finger to the Me Too movement last night?
Bill did?
Yeah.
I'm surprised he could see where to point because I thought he was blind.
Yeah. Apparently he's blind to the Me Too movement as well. Because last night he decided to do the pop-up stand-up comedy gig in Philadelphia.
You're kidding me. He did stand-up?
I'm dead serious.
Blind?
So
you've seen him come out of the car when they carry him into court, right?
I
Like
know.
there's 2 people on each side?
Yeah.
And so what, does he just come out and sit in a chair?
I don't know. Maybe 2 people walked him out onto the stage. He was at the La Rose Jazz Club in Philadelphia.
Was this like one of those surprise things?
Yes.
A lot of comedy clubs, there's always a surprise guest. Oh my God.
Well, this was not a comedy club, and he took to his Facebook page a few hours prior to the show, and when he took to his Facebook page, he said, "Hey, I'm going to be doing stand-up tonight at the La Rose Jazz Club in Philadelphia. Come on out and see me." Blah blah blah. Place was packed, I guess, and people watched Bill Cosby do his stand-up. Now,
do you get up and leave or do you stay? See, I would want to get up and leave because of he's a disgusting person and what he's done to humanity. But at the same time, I'm such a curious person. I would have to stay because I'm the guy that looks at the car accident. I have to see what's going to happen.
I don't think that this was an instance where there were people going to be already at the jazz club that night. It was like the only reason why anybody would be there in the first place was to see him because they caught wind of it on social media.
Okay.
So I don't think there would have been that opportunity to do so. But
I'm asking you, if you're there, you have no idea, and then
he just walks up on stage. I would get out.
I would have to stay.
I would get out and walk. I think that the message is bigger, and I would encourage others to try and get them to walk out as well.
I just got sent some audio from this this deal. This is for stand-up.
Okay.
You want to hear it? Take a listen.
You see a blind person walking to a pole or something, and you speak perfect English. There's a word called stop. Not whoa, 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 whoa. No. Not according to me as a blind person. Now, I have a daughter, very intelligent young lady. She said, watch it, watch it, watch it, watch it. My wife, who loves me and does not want me to walk into anything, says,
Bill Cosby last night in Philadelphia at a jazz club did a little pop-up stand-up type deal.
Joking about his blindness. Do you think that's his attempt to try to prove to the courts that, he's blind?
What does that have to do with what he did 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago?
I think he's hoping that they'll take pity on him because
but
he's
when
blind.
I hear him out there doing that, yucking it up, having a good time, I have no pity for the guy.
But
I think it's a bad move.
He does bring up a good point. That's what we all do. If there's like a blind person and we see them heading into danger, we always
I get out of the way.
There's some. Do you say stop to the blind person, or do you go
No, I just let him fall.
Let him fall.
Well, I mean, I was in.
What doesn't kill him makes him stronger, right?
And I don't walk around a lot here. I walked a lot around in San Francisco, and there was a young lady that came up, and she had her cane, and she was doing her thing, and I just got out of her way, and she almost walked into a bench that was there that people were, you could sit on, and I was like, "Is she going to do it? Is she going to do it?" And then she hit the stick on it, and she got around it.
You didn't say anything.
No, because she got the stick. That's what the stick's for.
They
don't want your help. They want to be able to be self-sufficient.
Have you ever been yelled at by somebody who has a disability and when you've tried to help them out?
Yes, I was yelled at once from a blind person for opening a door to McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were coming in and I was going to hold the door open for them. And they're like, I can handle it myself.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of just a snap. Like,
it was terse.
Like, I would hold this for anyone, you blind mother. I would really hold it for anyone. You don't have to be blind or disabled. I would hold it for you, Jeff. I would hold it for anyone. So I was a little offended by it for a second. I thought, oh, you know what? Listen, they got a rough day. They're having a rough life, because they can't see. So I'm not going to get up.
But I've never
upset because they snapped at me.
The same thing has happened to me before.
I have a tolerance for people with disabilities if they snap at you. They can be grumpy.
Like once I offered to help push somebody in a wheelchair up a steep hill.
How'd that go?
Huh? They got mad at me. It was like, hey, do you want a hand going up this hill? It was downtown Seattle. And they're like, no, I got this. I'm like, okay, it's a really steep hill. Like I walk and I'm going to have trouble with this hill. You sure you don't want me to, push you up there? And they're like, no, this is my life. I do this all the time. And they got upset with me. I was like, fine, whatever.
Did you tell them to F off?
No, I didn't.
Did you want to?
No, because I felt bad for intruding, and then now I approach it the same way you do. When I see a blind person walking towards something that's like a bench, I don't say anything. I just sit there and stand in awe. And are they going to do it? Or are they going to? I don't ever help out anybody anymore.
Hi, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, how's it going? I was just calling about the holding the door open for someone.
Yeah. The Me Too movement.
I don't know. I catch a lot of slack, but I treat, blind, deaf, stupid, gay, lesbian, pansexual, unicorn, treat them all the same. And if they're a jerk, I tell them they're a jerk and tell them off because everyone's equal.
What about little people? What about little people? Do you treat them fair?
Oh, yeah, I usually just bow after.
What about bald people?
My wife.
Anybody.
I feel like you just about named every stereotype.
My wife gets so mad if I don't hold the door open for somebody. Like, that's the one I have to answer to. So
yeah, you don't hold the door. You're in your own world when you're out and about.
Well, I have to hold the door open if I'm with my wife for people. I just have to, because she's like, how come you didn't hold the door open for that person? It doesn't matter who it is. Like that gentleman just called in. She's like, you hold the door open for everybody. So I sit there. And the thing with holding the door open that drives me nuts is I don't know when to
move on.
Yes. So I end up being the doorman at a place if it's busy. I'll let 30, 40 people go in. I'll just stand there holding the door.
You just let the next.
I'll let all these people go in.
That's a tough one.
And then when I find a good stopping point, I'll go. And then she gets mad at me because she's like, where have you been? I'm like, I was holding the door open, and a lot of people came up to the door.
You got to make eye contact, which I know you don't like to do, but you have to make eye contact with the next guy that comes through. So, because, hey, buddy, all right, it's your turn now. It's your turn to hold this door for people, because if we don't, we get, scolded in society as being insensitive and...
The worst, whatever. This is where I always get caught, is those stupid exit gates at... theme parks like Disneyland, like
the exit gate.
Yeah, so
like when you come off the ride,
you have a ride, and there's a bunch of people that get off the ride at the same time. This happens on a lot of the Cars Land rides. I don't know why, but because they're basically all the scrambler. The scrambler at the fair where you look like you're going to run into the next person and all that. So all those rides are basically that. Well, what ends up happening is I will get to the gate, and if I'm like near the exit. When the ride's done, I hold open the gate, and then it's nothing but kids. And the last thing I want to be is the guy that slams the exit gate shut on a kid's face because they're caught up in their Disneyland haze. So I will hold the gate open for everyone.
I see. I know what you need to do. What you do in that situation is it's not like a door where you just walk through and you hold it open for everybody. You kind of walk through and have, let's say the gate is on your right side. You use your right hand to go back and you kind of pull it open. And as you walk through it, you just kind of hand it off to the person behind you, even if it's a kid, because you're just moving through, but you're being polite. That way you're not just, you know what I mean? You just kind of hand it off to the next person. Because if you actually get out and you pull and you face people, yeah, you're done. That's it. Then you got to look for that next adult. Hey, your turn.
They think you're working there.
Yeah, and then people are like, God, I don't want to hold this forever.
Out of all the thousands of people that work at Disneyland, I mean, there's like 20,000. I think there's like 25,000 people that work at Disneyland. They can't just have, I mean, how many rides are there? 20, 30 rides there? They can't have like 20 or 30 of those people that are working there, standing there at the exit, holding the gate for people, so I don't have to do it.
I know. What a terrible world we live in.
Listen. You pay like $160 to go there.
The funny thing for me, when I was holding the door, it was a couple weeks ago. We went to the downtown cinemas, and I was holding the door for my wife because she had she was holding our popcorn and soda, and she was walking in, and so I'm holding the door for her, and somebody else came out, and then this older man comes up, and he comes up to me and he goes, "You're not sure you work here? Listen, I got a problem with these people down here. Says, can you come with me?" I go, "Sure, let's go." And then I walked down there, and I'm sitting right next to him, but it was the people on the other side. I said, "Sir, I don't work here." He was so bad because he had to walk all the way back up to the top.
Jeff and Jeremy in the morning.